Hi, I'm Joe Walensky, and I'm the program manager for ConveyUX, which we've done for 7 years in Seattle, and we're going to do it again in March in Seattle. But we also have a special event coming up, and that's going to be this coming August 15th and 16th in Boston, and it has a special event, special theme, which is the nexus of product and UX. And so I get the chance to talk to our many presenters, and so today I am speaking with Gwen Betts. Hello, Gwen. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Joe. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's all good. It's a somewhat cloudy morning in Seattle, where Blink's headquarters are, but we also have an office where you're at. Where are you speaking to us from today?
Boston, Massachusetts.
All right, well, that's where we're going to be doing our event coming up in August. So let's find out a little bit about you. Why don't you maybe start with telling us a little bit about your background and the types of things that you're working on.
Definitely. So like many UXers, I come from a varied background. I started as a visual and graphic designer a little over 15 years ago. I've sort of bobbed and weaved into customer tech support and customer experience as well, which honestly has informed a lot of the way that I do my job today too. I've done a bit of front-end development, and I've led teams of both hybrid designers and developers. And then more recently, probably in the past 7 or 8 years, I have gone full-time into UX and product design. And I've held a lot of different positions across startups, because startups seem to be my thing. I love a good challenge, and especially designing and helping build something from the ground up is fun. So I've spent a lot of time doing that. And from the perspective of where I'm at today, I've been in cybersecurity now for a little over 3 years, and there are some additional fun challenges that come with that.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things going on every day in your work life, and I'm just wondering if there's any particular challenges that you run into in your job, and maybe something unique about the challenge with cybersecurity. Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you mentioned that. So cybersecurity is a unique industry, and that UX hasn't always been super invested in. Now, companies have gotten wise to that, I would say, over the past 3 to 4 years, but it's still such a greenfield for design professionals, because these are complex problems that we're trying to solve, especially around data and visibility. But it means it's an opportunity, because now companies recognize that UX is a differentiator. And oftentimes I see it not just from an ease of use perspective, but when you're thinking about security measures and how to go about driving adoption of them, which historically has not been an easy challenge for companies to solve, I see UX as a facilitator. Now, we may not be able to solve all the problems, because there is no silver bullet, but we can help both product teams and then our customers through these challenges, and we can help facilitate with micro interactions on what does good adoption look like, and how can you actually help your customers through these challenges today. And so when it comes to thinking about like the complexity of where our field has arrived and what the opportunities are, I would encourage any designer that loves a good challenge to explore cybersecurity as an industry, because as I'm sure many of you have seen in the news, technology is not going away, and cyber attacks are happening every single day. So it's something that we need to address, and we can be part of that solution.
Well, it certainly is very topical, as you mentioned, and so I'm sure that'll be one aspect that people want to talk to you about at the conference. Any other interesting things going on? Any new things that you're thinking about and working on?
Yeah, so I'm always trying to explore the many different ways in which we work, right? And this relates to the topic of my talk that I'll be talking about in August. But one of the things that I see more and more, especially as junior and associate level designers move to mid-level, move to senior, and then leadership, is there is this huge focus all the time on the one true way of doing things. But I think for those of us who have been in designing UX and product for quite some time, you'll know that things are messy and things are chaotic, and there's probably not one true way of doing things. There's many, many different dimensions of how you go about solving problems, how you partner with people. And so actually a lot of my time and focus, both in the industry, but in my role at Rapid7 today, is helping teams figure out what those dynamics are and how to work within them versus letting them work against you.
Well, you alluded to it, but the title of your topic is The One Truth About Product Delivery. So maybe tell us a little bit about how you came around to this topic and what we can expect to learn from it.
Definitely, I'm happy to delve in a little deeper. So just my experience on the front lines, I had been in agency for quite some time, and one of the biggest challenges with an agency was being a little bit disconnected from engineers. And so there's different ways in which you work in that capacity. And then when you are an in-house designer or leading in-house design teams, there are different models that work depending on the scale of the organization that you're in. And sometimes, like, we do approach the agency or services model, and other times we approach more of the embedded model where you have designers on Scrum teams and they're part of the product team, right? And so where I arrived at with my talk and where I'm at today in my career, I'm just seeing all these different overlaps despite the scenarios and despite the industry and whether it's in-house or agency. And to me, it's always a challenge of scale, right? So I came to my talk based on the things that I was seeing and experiencing at different scales of companies, because I've been at small, early seed stage startups, I've been at mid-stage startups, and now I would say I'm at a mid-sized company today. And so our challenges are a little bit different, but along that journey too, there are different models for how you work together and how you collaborate together. And honestly, there's no one true way of doing it. And so oftentimes in design, like, we're often searching for the one truth of the problem, right? But I think what we often realize is there are multiple dimensions of that truth, and instead of saying that there's only one way to go about solving this, or there's only one way to collaborate, a lot of my talk explores a bunch of myths around collaboration and some lessons that I've learned that hopefully will be helpful to the audience too, on how to embrace collaboration with your stakeholders at different scales of your company and your design team.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be interesting. Maybe you get to push us off the safe spot thinking about some new things. And I appreciate you taking the time to introduce yourself. And we look forward to having you with us on the program in Boston in August.
Can't wait. It's going to be great.